Hello, everyone. Welcome to Broadband Deployment News. Ookla has come out with their June performance statistics for top broadband providers. Be right back, and we'll take a look at those numbers. Thanks for joining me. Rick Husey here with Broadband Deployment News. So Ookla does this report, which I always find interesting, and thought I'd take a look at it this time. And it shows you that cable does well, as we'll see here. So we're looking at we're going to be looking at fixed broadband, not mobile broadband, but they're showing you here just what they have mobile broadband wise and fixed broadband wise. So you can see mobile broadband. You can see speeds are going up over time. So here we're looking at this is starting here June 2022, so about a year ago, exactly a year ago, I guess. Then going in through July, and you can see speeds are ticking up, and this would make sense as more 5G spectrum was being added during that time. Now, again, this is mobile broadband. I'm assuming they're not including fixed wireless broadband. We don't see that in their fixed broadband numbers. So I would think this would be just mobile broadband that we're looking at here, not fixed. But you can see those speeds have gone up over time. The upload speeds have stayed consistent. But anyway, so here what we're looking at for June is approximately 76, well, you see it right here, 76.71 megabits per second download and 8.1 megabits per second upload. That's for mobile wireless broadband. Here on the fixed broadband side, we've got download speeds of 205.2 megabits per second, and then upload 23.38. Latency of 13 milliseconds versus 32 milliseconds that we were seeing here on the mobile broadband. And again, this has been trending up, and that would be because in this case of more fiber going in the ground and also more cable operators kind of upping the speeds that they can do over their DOCSIS network. So we've been seeing that increasing, which is good over time. So again, back here in June of last year was 153.8, and now we're looking at 205.20. And again, this has not changed much. Looks like we were at 21.6. And we're currently at 23.38, and you're going to see that. I think probably some of this increase here has to do with cable operators maybe increasing their speed more so than, let's say, a huge influx of fiber, although that has happened. But because fiber operators can do much higher uploads, which we'll see here, we didn't see this tick up that much. So there's some impact on that, but it may be that much of this increase here was related to cable operators increasing the speeds that they were able to do on their networks. I don't know that for sure. I'm just going based on the fact that this has stayed flat and this has gone up. And certainly if you're putting more fiber, that's replacing cable. And that's a big part. If you're replacing cable, and you're going to see these numbers then go up. Then we've got, what is this here? This is latency. And you can see that's stayed about the same. Looks like it dropped a little bit. Latency 33 milliseconds, jitter 9 milliseconds. Latency is just how long it takes for those packets to get back and forth. Jitter is kind of inconsistency in that latency. So if latency is kind of the same all the time and high, that's not good. If it's decent latency but jitter's bad, that's not good, because then communications like phone service is going to be a problem because you're getting all kinds of different sways on your latency, so that's not a good thing necessarily. So you see here 34 milliseconds or 33 milliseconds latency, jitter 9 milliseconds, and we're ending up the year for mobile 32 milliseconds and 10. So again, not much change. You can see not much change here either. Latency 14 milliseconds starting out a year ago, and jitter 3 milliseconds, so much better on these, and then on jitter. Then 13 milliseconds and 3 milliseconds there. So that was almost no change at all over that time. So let's take a look at the individual operators. So they talk about their fastest providers on the download. And it says here, it reveals that Spectrum, that would be Charter, edges out Cox to claim the fastest median download speed among the top fixed broadband providers in the U.S. at 243.02 megabits per second during the second quarter 2023. Cox was second at 241.78. 0.78, and then third was 233.25 megabits per second for AT&T Internet. Then you got Frontier, Optimum, and Verizon followed that. I keep meaning to look up who Optimum is. I'm sure it's probably the name of some operator that was bought out or changed, but they appear on this. And how do the top broadband providers, what do they consider that? Let's take a quick look at that. So top broadband providers, That's an operator or ISP. They must account for 3% or more of the total test samples in the market for the entire period to be designated as a top provider. We use this designation to ensure that most consumers in the area actually have access to the provider to qualify it as the fastest, most consistent, or having the best coverage. So that's how they determine that. And then you see here also, I forgot to kind of pass this, but where was it? Thought I saw something else in here. Oh, here it is. Results are updated mid-month for the previous month. Locations must have at least 300 unique user results for mobile or fixed broadband to be ranked in either category. And as I was going through here, you see how many are ranked. So you see rank are 27, ranks 21, ranks 24. So this is how many. So again, it must be, let's see, locations. These are locations, how many locations are ranked. So you can see that kind of goes up and down during that period. So again, you see here Spectrum topping it out here at 243.02. Then you got Cox, you got Xfinity, that would be Comcast, you got AT&T Internet. So this is, we're talking about here cable broadband operators right here. Then you've got AT&T being fiber as well as some DSL. And you got Frontier being fiber as well as some DSL. Optimum, again, not sure. I wonder if that's cable. When I was looking at the upload speeds, which we'll see here in a minute, Optimum's pretty low on the upload speeds, so they may be cable operator. Then you got Verizon here, again, kind of at the bottom with 184.03, and this is on download speed. So Verizon's going to have a mix of fiber and DSL as well. Then we've got faster providers upload, and again, we're looking at the same top fixed broadband providers, and we've got here AT&T at the top on this case. So this is upload. So AT&T, again, having a lot of fiber in their network. We're seeing them at 166.86. Same with Frontier as they've been adding more fiber to their network. Verizon down again here below. So Verizon must have a higher percentage of DSL, I'm guessing, compared to these two. Then you've got Optimum again way down here with leading Xfinity, Cox, and Spectrum, but still well below these other fiber operators here, or these fiber operators here. That's why I'm going to look up I keep forgetting. I meant to look up before this to see who these guys are and if I could figure out what their technology is. But you can see they're well below even Verizon. So it's possible. I don't think they'd be a DSL provider. I guess it's possible that they've got that. But again, they're below here, but they're above Verizon there. Then we've got median multi-server latency. And multi-server latency, let's take a quick look at what they say about that. Multi-server latency is designed to represent the latency the user should expect to encounter more generally when their network is not under heavy load. So I think when they say their network, they mean if you're at home and you're not overtaxing your network, your home network, with all kinds of stuff where the latency could be related to that, this is expected to be what you'd more likely encounter, I think, when your network is looking fine. So try to get a valid estimate of what the actual latency is back to the provider. Multi-server latency is computed from the multiple pings conducted during server selection. During server selection, the application pings several on and off net servers multiple times each to determine which servers to use during the test. So that's part of how they do that, determine that. And you can see here Verizon has the lowest. So this is interesting since I'm saying they probably have less fiber in their network because they, on the download and upload speeds, let's see, where were they? Yeah, download, they're behind these two fiber operators here, and they're certainly behind on the download speeds at the very bottom there. But yet on latency, they're looking the best at 15 milliseconds. So can't explain that. Frontier next, AT&T next, then Optimum. So again, Optimum is ahead of the cable operators here, just barely. And then you've got the cable operators, Cox and Xfinity, pretty close. There's not that much difference between some of these guys here. Certainly Verizon is a standout there with 15 milliseconds. And you've got Cox, the first cable operator, I think, if these guys are, I'm not sure, being at 25. Then you got Xfinity at 25. Then you got Spectrum, Charter. So while Charter is leading the download race of all operators, including all cable and fiber, they're at the very bottom on latency. It's still not terrible at 31 seconds, but it's not nearly as good as 15 seconds or 17 seconds for Frontier and Verizon. Consistency, so here's how they define that. Consistency, where is it? Why did I miss that? Consistency. All right, let me close that and try to do that again. Consistency. Yeah, that's what I did. I saw it a minute ago. So let's see here. Consistency. There it is. Okay. Not sure that was not anchored properly, obviously. So consistency. While fast speeds are paramount, a consistent experience is also a worthy measure of a network's quality. Consistency is the metric we use to identify fixed broadband or mobile networks that provide a consistent quality service. It reflects the percentage of a provider's data samples that mean minimum thresholds for download and upload speeds, depending on the type of network. The higher a provider's consistency, the more likely a consumer will enjoy acceptable internet performance and quality. Because, it's fine if you can get a great connection in the middle of the night or only certain hours during the day, but you really want it to be consistent. Whenever you're home and need the internet, you want it to be fairly consistent. That's what they're looking at here. So let's see. So it says in measuring the consistency of each fixed broadband provider's performance, there was no statistical winner during Q2 2023. Spectrum had a consistency of 91.8. We'll look at these right here. So you see Spectrum 91.8, 91.5 for Xfinity, Cox 91.3. So again, cable leading the charge here on consistency, but it's really not that different between all of them. So you got Spectrum at the top, 91.8. Then you've got at the very bottom Frontier, 82.9. So there is almost 10% or 10% difference between the top and the bottom, but they're pretty consistent. And then they've got video score. Let's see if this one is linked the right way. I think it is. Yeah, Video Experience Awards. Ookla's Video Experience Awards for fixed and mobile networks are based on Ookla's Video Score, which combines 5 measures of quality of video experience. They look at adaptive start failures, adaptive start time, adaptive average bit rate, adaptive stall events, and adaptive stall severity. So let's close that. You can look at that further if you want just by clicking that. So here what you've got, again, there's almost no difference here. So you got Verizon at the top with 82.9, and then down at the very bottom, you've got Optimum with 81.49. So very much the same. Then they talk about regional speeds here. At the state level, Florida showed the fastest median download speeds over fixed broadband in the U.S. Connecticut was second, Rhode Island third, New Jersey fourth, and Hawaii fifth. So Hawaii is fifth. Alaska had the slowest median download speed in the U.S. during the second quarter, 85.94 megabits per second. So that's comparing to 232.68 top for Florida. And then you've got lowest there, 85.94. So about as far away as they can get from each other, too, if you think about where Alaska is and Florida is. Now, that's not the reason. The reason is Alaska and how remote it is and the difficulty in getting fast internet to everywhere there that you could get it. Spectrum was the fastest. No, wait, I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah, Alaska had the slowest speed. Wyoming was next slowest in Montana, New Mexico, and Vermont. Spectrum was the fastest fixed broadband provider in 11 states. Xfinity was the fastest in 8 states. Google Fiber was the fastest in 5 states. That's interesting because Google Fiber they don't cover whole states. Now, neither does these others sometimes, but Google Fiber tends to be concentrated in certain areas of a state, like here in Georgia. They're in the Atlanta area. I don't know if they're anywhere else outside of maybe certain areas of the metro Atlanta area here. Followed by Verizon in 4 and Cox in 2. Allo, Blue Peak, C-Spire, EPB, Frontier, CCI, Metronet, and Midco were each fastest in 1 state during the quarter. Results were too close to statistically determine in 12 states and the District of Columbia. So you can see here it lists who and what. So you got your median download, median upload, median multi-server latency in these, fastest provider, and provider's median download. So you can look over these, and you can also click here to see more. So it's got city speeds. Among the 100 most populous cities in the U.S., Raleigh, North Carolina took the top spot as the fastest city, where median download speeds over fixed broadband at 280 approximately megabits per second. Lincoln, Nebraska was second, El Paso, Texas third, San Antonio, Texas fourth, and Irvine, California fifth. Now I know Raleigh, I believe that's in the tech triangle there, so that may be why, and it's very possible that some of these other areas are very high-tech areas. Detroit, Michigan had the slowest median download speed over fixed broadband among the 100 most populous cities in the U.S. Atlanta, Georgia was second slowest. That's interesting that Atlanta would be second slowest. Assuming they mean not the metro Atlanta area, I'm assuming, but maybe certain, like the downtown Atlanta area, which is very surprising. Lots of choices here in Atlanta. Denver, Colorado, third slowest. Seattle, Washington, fourth. And Dallas, Texas, fifth. So you're seeing here, these are large metro areas. So I'm not sure how they are calculating that, like what areas of those cities they're looking at. Because certainly some points of Atlanta here, lots of areas here in Atlanta, you can get gig internet easily, and sure it's the same with places in Denver and Seattle and Dallas, etc. Xfinity was the fastest fixed broadband provider in 16 cities, followed closely by AT&T, which was the fastest in 15 cities, while Spectrum was fastest in 14. Both Cox and Verizon were fastest. I can't see that first letter. Fastest in 9 cities. Google Fiber was fastest in 7 cities. Then we got Allo again mentioned, Buckeye Cable System, Frontier, GCI, I believe that is, Metronet, Rocket Fiber, Sonic, Sparklight, USI, Wired were each fastest in 1 major U.S. city. Results were too close to statistically determine in 20 cities during the same period. So again, feel free to check this out. I did link in the description to this report, so you can go in there and check it out at your leisure and look at all of the statistics for these cities. So again, what we've got here is we got the median download and upload, median multi-server latency for each of these cities. Then you've got your fastest provider in the city and the provider's median download speed. And I think that's it. I can't scroll over any, I don't believe. I've got this expanded, but so they may not have the upload speed on here. And again, you can see more there. So lots of great information from Ookla there. So if you get a chance, go take a look at that. I didn't drill into all of those cities and states. I want to take a look at some of that to see, but a lot of good information there on who is fastest as far as nationally in the country for the second quarter. And then you can drill in on the cities and the states and take a look at that. And again, what I think is really interesting is that cable is doing really well. Now, we're looking at the top providers, and we saw why. It had to be 3% of the, at least 3% of the, request or something like that. It had to be, or speed tests had to be there for them to qualify. So that may be one reason that we didn't see, for example, I don't see T-Mobile or Verizon fixed wireless on here. And again, I'm assuming, I could be wrong. Maybe, let me go back here and look at this. So maybe, as I'm now thinking about it, it's very possible. Let's take a look at the fastest providers upload, for example. It's very possible, I suppose, that that maybe Verizon could be some of their fixed wireless, but we don't see T-Mobile on here. I don't think so, because T-Mobile, they have by far the most number of 5G customers fixed wireless in the country. I mean, they were adding hundreds of thousands, and I think they've got well over 1 million, if I recall, providers. So I don't think this includes fixed wireless. If we look at, you can change this, by the way, I think somewhere here. What is this? This is somewhere in here. Oh, here it is. Right here, you can change this to mobile, and then you'll see the fastest providers mobile. And T-Mobile, you see, is far and away much better on download speed and upload speed, especially download speed. So this, I think, is taking into account that T-Mobile has so much mid-band spectrum for 5G throughout the country. But again, this is mobile service, so this is not T-Mobile's fixed wireless service. This should be just their mobile. So you got a cell phone, you can get 5G, and therefore, because they have so much 5G spectrum, and Verizon and AT&T are trailing in that, they are far and away highest on mobile download speeds. And again, I'm assuming this is top mobile operators, so this is not fixed wireless. So I'm thinking that that those fixed numbers do not include somebody like T-Mobile or certainly Verizon. They don't have as many fixed wireless customers. So this was just the largest operators. There's lots of, again, cable doing really well on the download side. Now, this is the large providers. You've got those large providers like Comcast and like Charter and like Cox that have all, at minimum, DOCSIS 3.1, upgrading to 4.0 of some kind, either extended spectrum DOCSIS or, in the case of Comcast, looking at full duplex as they upgrade to DOCSIS 4.0 and be able to get faster download and upload speeds. So you are missing smaller operators that would be operating in just a town or city or in just a little small region where they don't have enough of the requests to be able to look at them as a top provider. And certainly those smaller providers, cable operators, a lot of them, there are going to be some that have not upgraded to DOCSIS 3.1, so they're not going to be as fast as what we're seeing here. And so they're going to not be having the same kind of speeds. But certainly across the board, as far as the largest providers and the ones that make up a large number of customers throughout the country, the cable operator is doing very well. On the download side, which is most important. So just because a cable operator can't advertise gig symmetrical right now, they can advertise pretty good download speeds. And if they've got customers, those customers are, if they're happy with the speeds, they don't care about upload, because upload, while it's more important than it used to be, in general, most customers, if they're well over 100 megabits per second on the download and their upload is, they're not going to notice that really, because most of what they're doing is downloading. And if they're having no problem with Zoom calls or anything like that, they're not going to notice anything. So if they're happy with their provider and it's a cable operator, then upload speeds of saying you can get a gig is not important. Saying you can get a gig on the download is not important if they're happy with their download speeds. And if they're, like I say, if they're well over 100 megs and they're not seeing any issues, they don't really have a reason to change unless they're not happy with the price or they're not happy with the customer service that they get when they need help. That could be a billing problem. That could be that the service is not reliable, not consistent. It's going up and down all the time. They might get good download speeds when they are connected, but they have problems staying connected, those kinds of things. So all of that matters. But across the board, I think cable's doing really well. And that will continue to be the case as cable operators continue to upgrade their plants, and they'll get faster download speeds and upload speeds as they do that. So thanks for joining me. If this was interesting, if you give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button, click the bell to be notified, and you'll be notified when I'm live. Tomorrow, if you're still with me, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I will be having my second broadcast for Tech Tuesday on cybersecurity, and specifically for the BEAD program. If you are a broadband office in a state, or if you are a broadband provider, you need to be aware that, you may already be aware and be thinking about it and worrying about it, that you need to have, the broadband operator needs to have a cybersecurity plan in place and all of the policies and procedures and technology in place to be able to reflect the NIST cybersecurity framework. And we talked about a little bit of what that was last week. We'll do a review of that tomorrow, a quick review of that tomorrow. And then we'll talk about how to implement the NIST cybersecurity framework. So this is very important if you're a broadband operator. Again, also if you're a broadband office, you need to check that out, because as a broadband office, you will be required to have your subgrantees attest to the fact that they have met the NIST framework or something that reflects that. So again, join me tomorrow at 3 o'clock if you would like to see that. And if you're not subscribed, if you click the little bell, you'll be notified when I am live, and that would include tomorrow at 3 o'clock when I go live then. Thanks a lot. I will see you hopefully tomorrow at 3. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.